Hey guys, so I thought I would talk about Kentucky Derby dresses today. Some of the things to wear to the Kentucky Derby, some of the don'ts of what not to wear to the Kentucky Derby, and then just some Kentucky Derby dresses outfit inspo and some styling tips and ideas for you. Growing up in England and going back there kind of each and every summer for the horse racing season, it's something I've always really loved. The whole kind of pageantry of it, the fashion, the horses, the big hats and fascinators. I just really love the tradition of it. And the Kentucky Derby is something else. Royal Ascot's very different to Kentucky Derby, to the races in Dubai. Everywhere has their own kind of unique styles. And the Kentucky Derby is really when you kind of bring out your inner Southern belle, even for an English girl. So when I'm thinking Kentucky Derby, I'm thinking spring colors and pastels. And the Kentucky Derby gets a lot of its traditions, and especially the clothing and the hats, right back from the very first Kentucky Derby in 1875. They brought the traditions over from England. They'd love the way they dressed for the horse races, and that tradition's kind of stuck. So there's no actual rule that says you have to wear a hat to the Kentucky Derby, but if you're not, you're probably going to be the only person who doesn't, because everyone goes all out. And it's one of those things, there's no right or wrong whether it's a hat or a fascinator. It's very personal. But I'm going to start talking about Kentucky Derby dresses and then kind of move on to accessorizing with each one and the different hats and fascinators I think would go best with them. And then kind of some styling tips for your hats, which one's right for you and how to kind of style your hair with them. Because there's nothing worse than doing a beautiful elaborate updo and then realizing it doesn't work with your hat, because that's the last dress you want to have on the actual day. I'm not going to cover men's Kentucky Derby dress just because their outfits are very different. I'm just going to stick to the women's fashion because that's what I know best. So let's take a look at the very first Kentucky Derby dress I have lined up for you. So I'm going to start with the dress I'm in, and yes, you can absolutely wear white to the Kentucky Derby. These tend to suggesting away from wintry colors like browns and beiges and going for more summery colors. Pastels, bright colors, florals, whites are all good. Navy and white's a really traditional choice as well. I personally really like, it's just my style. I like puff sleeves. I like structured styles. I like styles that look really classic and elegant. So I feel like Kentucky Derby dresses should be more on the classic and elegant side. That doesn't mean they can't be fashion forward. It doesn't mean you can't have fun with fashion trends. I just feel like they should be a little bit more on the elegant side for this specific event, whatever your personal style, and they should be in the brighter or white color scheme versus darker wintry colors. So this dress would be perfect. It's a good length. When it comes to accessorizing, you could just wear some simple pearl earrings, a pearl necklace, a pearl bracelet. If you wanted to add a pop of color, I definitely think that works really well with white, whether that's doing a navy, a blue, a green, a pink, just to kind of like punch it up a little bit. And then when it comes to what hat or fascinator to wear with a white dress or a style like this, you could pretty much do anything. You could do a big hat, a small fascinator, could do a pop of color to tie in with the shoes and the bag, or just go for something like this, a simple white, she says putting it on the wrong way, a simple white fascinator. I really like net on hats and fascinators, but give you a pro tip here. Make sure it's not going to be annoying you and in your eyes or eyelashes. I've had them before when they're in my eyelashes and they've annoyed me all day. Also in photos, they can cast a really unflattering shadow unless you're wearing sunglasses. Something like this where the netting is completely out of my eye line is much friendlier and easier to deal with all day. One of the reasons I go for fascinators versus hats for my Kentucky Derby dress or any kind of horse racing dress is the fact I'm not going to knock anyone out. I'm 5'2", so if you're short and you have a big hat, imagine this is a big hat brim, I end up like craning my neck all day to try and look at anyone to talk to them, as well as not to crash into people walking around. I've even had fascinators with giant feathers before, and just the feathers themselves have been poking people in the eye. So just be very spatially aware with your hats. Have fun with them, go big, go amazing with them. But if you go really big with your hats, just make sure you've got good spatial awareness. And with this dress, I would probably wear something simple like white stiletto pumps or white braided mules with that square heel, just so I don't sink into the grass. I would probably take both pairs of shoes, and then depending on the weather, if it's really dry underfoot and I feel like the stilettos aren't going to sink into the grass, I would do these. And then if it was slightly damp underfoot and I was worried these would sink, I would probably go to a wider square heel mule or a wedge, just so I don't sink into the grass and end up like on my face. Something like this floral maxi dress would be absolutely stunning as a Kentucky Derby dress. I love the structured shoulders on it. The small cutouts aren't too sexy for the Kentucky Derby. The length of it's perfect. You're not going to be traipsing it through the mud and dirt. So it's just a really, really, really beautiful spring style for the Kentucky Derby. Shoe-wise, with a floral maxi dress, I would probably do something like a very simple neutral espadrille if I wanted something more comfortable, closed toe. Or if I wanted something more elegant, I would probably go with like a nude leather sandal. Nude leather sandals are a great option. The leather's going to do better if it's slightly damp underfoot. They're easy to wipe down. And also they're going to go with so many of your outfits. If you've got your hat, you've got the shoes, but you're not sure what dress to wear, the shoes then, if it's a neutral color, are going to go with most things. And also always consider getting the hat first. It's much easier to find a Kentucky Derby dress than it is to find a Kentucky Derby hat. In saying that, if you've fallen in love with a dress and you have to have it, I would just say once you've got it, then either go for a neutral color, a white's going to go with most things, or you could have it custom made. So if you're a maxi dress girl or a floral print dress girl, or you know it's going to be cold, something like this long sleeve floral dress is a gorgeous Kentucky Derby dress. You can't go wrong with it. Florals are such a classic print for the Kentucky Derby. They look perfect for spring, and the long sleeves mean A, you're not going to get burnt if it's hot, B, you're going to keep a little bit warm if it's cold and rainy. And I would style this either kind of with these kind of style earrings, pearl earrings, with pink or purple. If you're doing a floral print, there are so many colors in there. It makes it really, really easy to accessorize the hat, the fascinator, the jewelry, if you want to belt it, the shoes. Really, really easy piece to work with when you have a lot of colors to play around with. So more likely than not, you're going to be planning your Kentucky Derby dress before you know what the weather's like. And the weather is notoriously hit and miss in April. It could be rainy, it could be beautifully hot and sunny, it could be windy. So if you can take two dresses with you, I definitely recommend that, whether that's a short sleeve or sleeveless one and a long sleeve version, or at least taking a blazer with you or a shawl or a cover up so you have yourself covered. When it comes to the shoe choices, you're also going to want to consider the material as well. Suede and satin look beautiful, but if there's any chance of rain, the chances are they're going to get absolutely ruined, even with the best stain protector in the world. So kind of, if you can go for a leather pair or a pair that cleans easily, or that you're not going to be upset if they get damaged or dirty, definitely do that. I'll get to shoes in a little bit. So anyway, this is another style of dress you could do. Obviously, you can totally wear floral prints. These look really pretty. They look really summery. Again, they've got one's got a long sleeve, or one's got puff sleeves. They're that mini length, but not too mini that they're inappropriate for the Kentucky Derby. And then they also give you a bit of shoulder coverage if it happens to be a really hot day, so you're less worried about getting burnt on your shoulders. And then when it comes to accessorizing them, again, you could do gold, you could do pearls, you could tie in colors, you could do fun pink earrings, fun yellow earrings, fun blue with that. Now, when it comes to shoes, what I really like right now for the races is heeled mules. And when I say that, I'm talking about the square heel mules. The reason being, these don't get stuck in the grass, so don't end up like sinking in like a stiletto heel does if the ground's wet or damp. It's fine on hard ground on a nice sunny, dry day, but if the ground's slightly damp and there's any chance of sinking in, look for these. It still gives you height, it still gives you the aesthetic of a heel, but you don't have to worry about sinking into the ground. I've worn stilettos to the races. I know some people say don't wear stilettos on grass or to the races. Honestly, because I normally go in the height of summer, the ground's so hard, it's totally fine. I'm used to being in heels all day, but that's something to consider if you're not used to wearing heels for a long time. The Kentucky Derby and the Kentucky Oaks are both really long days, so I would suggest if you're not used to wearing stiletto heels or high heels, going for flats. It's totally fine to wear flats, whether they're foldable flats, they're mules, they're loafers, wedges. Wedges and espadrilles are another great choice, but these squared heels are my top picks right now. They're also a little bit more fashion forward. Okay, so I think this spring dress is absolutely stunning. It's so spring-like and fresh. It's summery, it's feminine, and it's just the most beautiful shade of yellow. I wouldn't normally wear yellow. I think you need at least a good tan for that if you're not a brunette. But I think it's such an easy dress to work with. You could literally wear any color hat with it, any size, white, neutral, color pop shoes, gold jewelry, silver jewelry, pearls, and it's still a statement dress. It looks kind of simple from a distance. When you get up close and you see the details on it, it's obviously designer. It's going to be unique there, and I just think it's a really, really good option. That or kind of any yellow dress is such a good color for the Kentucky Derby. If your style is more classic and elegant, a simple sheath dress can look stunning, especially if you go for one in a bright color like this hot pink is a knockout. And then look for details like the satin shoulders on this, the ruched waist, the bust line, and a rear zipper. I love the ones with the exposed zipper as well, that's kind of in the gold or the silvers. But looking like something like this with a simple fascinator or a giant hat, looks really lovely. You could wear white shoes with this, you could wear nude shoes. I would stay away from boots. Even if it's raining and wet, boots just aren't really a good look at the Kentucky Derby. They kind of make your Kentucky Derby dress from being something that should be elegant to just looking a little unbalanced and clumpy. So definitely find the right pair of shoes. And again, I would probably wear pink earrings with this, or pearl earrings, maybe a pearl bracelet. And then that is just a really, really classic look for the Kentucky Derby. If you haven't watched my YouTube before, you'll soon realize my cats are always somewhere around me. They're either playing, sleeping, unboxing, waiting to be fed. So this is Star. He is the talkative one. And I said I didn't really wear yellow, and yet there's 2 yellow dresses on this Kentucky Derby dress edit. The reason being, I think mustard or any kind of shade of yellow is another really good choice for a spring dress. This one I like because if you want to eat and drink all day, this one is nice and loose and flowy. And then the sleeves, again, another long sleeve option. The tie at the back, you can wear yellow with this as yellow accessories, but I really like white with yellow. White shoes, white purse, white hat or fascinator, and it's just a really, really classic color combo and a great Kentucky Derby dress option. Okay, so obviously I love this pink and red floral fit and flare dress because it's very similar to the one I have on, except it doesn't have the puff sleeves. But the colors are beautiful. Again, they're so spring, they're so feminine. The style is so flattering with that tiny waist and then the flared skirt, and I just think it's such a statement piece. And again, you could wear a red hat, a pink hat, a white hat. It's a really, really fun piece to work with. And the shoe-wise, nude strappy sandals, white strappy sandals, the cat's doing a little drive-by, espadrilles, flat loafers, flat mules. So just a really cute Kentucky Derby dress if you're looking for something feminine and flirty. So obviously one thing you're going to want to consider when choosing a Kentucky Derby dress is the area you're in or the enclosure. If you're in Millionaires Row, obviously you can go a little bit more all out. People tend to go for the big hats. They tend to be dressier. So I wouldn't recommend this style if you're just going to be general admission and kind of walking around all day, because it's a maxi, a really long maxi. It's going to get destroyed. It's just going to get dirty. People are going to tread on it. Not much fun. If you're in the Millionaires Row and you're more likely to be seated all day, something like this is gorgeous. Now this color is hard to pull off. It doesn't have to be this color. I was showing you more kind of the shape of it. I need to tan before I wear it. But something like this, it's just really, really loose and flowy. But something like this, where it's like the Grecian goddess style draping. It doesn't even have to have this, but the Grecian style is really in right now. It's really flattering. A bright color looks gorgeous for spring. And if you wanted to take more of a fashion risk, something this color and this style is easy to do it in. You're going to have to watch the accessories. Don't do big diamond or diamante crystal style earrings. Keep them kind of elegant, small, maybe a pair of diamond studs, maybe a pair of gold hoops. Keep the rest of the look more simple so it doesn't look like you're going to a ball or a gala. So it looks more just like a summery day dress. Same with the hat. I would keep the hat very simple, something like a fascinator style. I feel like if you've got a really over-the-top dress, go more simple with the hat. If your dress is more simple, go more over the top with your hat, or just go over the top head to toe. It doesn't really matter, but I like that bit of balance. So this purple jacquard dress is actually one I featured in my jacquard dress post, and I had to include it as a Kentucky Derby dress because it's so elegant. So if your style is kind of more elegant and feminine, this style is for you. It's beautifully structured, it's beautifully tailored. It has that bustier shape, which is really on trend for 2023. It's a perfect color for the Kentucky Derby dress. Shoe-wise, again, you could do a nude sandal, a white sandal, a big hat, a small hat. You could look for that color accent within your hat, whether that's a purple flower, feather, a ribbon. And again, just a style that you can kind of, as classic as it is, you can put your own spin on any of these Kentucky Derby dresses. Okay, so I said I would get back to styling your hair with your Kentucky Derby hats or Kentucky Derby fascinators. So definitely do a trial run, because there's nothing worse than doing a gorgeous updo and then placing your hat on and you can't get the hat on. So I don't actually have any Kentucky Derby hats here to demonstrate with, and my Kentucky Derby fascinator doesn't get here till April 4th. When I go back to England, I borrow all of my sister's because she literally has hundreds of them in different colors because she's always at the races. So I'm just going to kind of like talk you through some things. So when you're trying them on, firstly, either try and avoid wearing makeup on your forehead or put a tissue in there to stop makeup transferring, especially if you're in a shop, so you're not making it dirty for someone else. So just make sure that's protected. I tend to, when I go to the races, not wear any makeup on my forehead. I kind of stop at the eyebrows and then just put SPF on, because I tend to wear white hats, honestly, and then they just end up all stained. Instead, I fake tan, so it looks like you've got some, it keeps the coverage even. It looks like you've got makeup on there, but you're not getting it on your hat and fascinator, because they can be really hard to clean. The second tip is, if you have straight hair or you're considering straightening your hair, it does tend to make fascinators slip, especially if you're just using one of those crocodile clips. They tend to slip on the hair. I find it much easier if you tease it a little bit, put a bit of hairspray in and put it in, or you curl your hair. That's why I tend to always have curly hair at the races. I just find it works better with the hats and fascinators. Second thing is, if I do an updo, I tend to leave it softer around the front so you have something framing your face, and then you're going to want to do your bun very, very low. The issue with you doing it high is if you've got a hat, you're not going to be able to fit the hat band around it, and if you've got a fascinator, sometimes where it tilts to a certain point, again, same issue. So definitely have a trial run whether you're doing a Kentucky Derby hat or a Kentucky Derby fascinator, just to make sure everything works. Again, try the whole outfit on together, make sure the whole look looks cohesive. Maybe take a picture in it, make sure you like the overall look in the pictures. Oh, and also for shoes. You can always wear shoes for your photos, for when you get there. There is no shame with putting foldable ballet flats or even wearing them all day in your bag and changing with them to walk to and from car parks. If it starts to rain, having a backup in the car, back at the hotel, whatever it is, there is no shame in wearing flats to the Kentucky Derby, or at least taking them with you. Take your pretty pictures in your nice heels, and then if you're done, you're done. So don't forget your Kentucky Derby bag as well, because it's a really easy way to change up the look of your Kentucky Derby dress. Add a bit of fashion flair, add a pop of color, whatever it is, whether it's a feathered bag, whether it's a crystal embellished bag, whether it's a classic clutch, a simple white, a pop of color. Just make sure to notice the Kentucky Derby bag policy before you go. Check that out. It's on their website. Make sure it's the right size. Nothing worse than getting there and you've got all of your essentials in there and you get there and you're denied your bag being able to go in. So make sure that's taken care of, but it is a way of completing your look and putting your own spin on things. And as much as I love top handle bags, and it tends to be how I carry most of them all of the time, it is good if you've got a shoulder strap as well. So you've got one hand for your cocktail, one hand for your racing program, and then your bag's taken care of. You're not worried about it. So definitely look for a bag with a shoulder strap, or at least the option to use the shoulder strap, rather than just a clutch or a top handle you have to hold all day long, unless you're not planning on drinking, but most of us are. So I hope that helps you find a Kentucky Derby dress, even if it's something you already have in your wardrobe, if it helped you find ways to style it and accessorize it. If you're going, I wish you lots of luck on the races. Enjoy it, have a fabulous time, enjoy all of the things that Kentucky has to offer, like the good bourbon. And if you like this video, don't forget to hit a quick thumbs up and subscribe.